August is, of course, a significant month for women. In our series this month, we're speaking to female trailblazers, pathfinders in their own right, holding titles of firsts in their homes and broader communities. Now, this afternoon, we're joined by Funeka Montjane, Standard Bank Chief Executive Officer of Personal and Business Banking. She has held several roles within Standard Bank, but before that, she was partner at Price Waterhouse Coopers since 2005. She was elected to be the member of the World Economic Forum Young Global Leaders Class of 2015. In 2016, she was awarded Businesswoman of the Year in the corporate category. Funeka, good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us. Honestly, your resume could have us speaking for the whole day. But do indeed take at least our honor to say, wow, what a resume you have. But, you know, occupying very powerful positions within the Big Four and elsewhere that we've spoken about, we know that often people celebrate the current positions that people occupy. But many say, if one had greater context on the journey to the current, the applause would be even louder, where we get to appreciate the odds that possibly were stacked up against an individual, gender being among those realistically. So please share with us just the journey of this executive we now speak of in corridors with such celebration.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate being on the show. I hope you can hear me. I can say a lot, but let me say three things. The first one is that I was raised like many people in South Africa by grandparents. And they made a very big impact in my life. I actually come from the rural areas of Wandebele. And that meant that I didn't grow up only with my parents, but I was also in the context of a communal perspective. And then lastly, it was just access to opportunities, education. And I was lucky enough to get a scholarship granted by the audit firm Price Waterhouse Coopers to be able to study. So I actually think those were really my three big enablers, just passionate parents, growing up in a context of a community and understanding that you can't do things by yourself. Mm-hmm. And then lastly, just getting an opportunity to study.
Mm-hmm. Most certainly yours was a very humble upbringing. But you say something or mention something very important about access to opportunities, because many may have perhaps that resilient spirit in them, but if you don't have the access to the opportunities to enable you to reach your destination, it becomes all futile. Just share with us the importance of that access in South Africa in 2025 now, when we see that we've got young people that are still fighting for the opportunity to go to school because there isn't adequate funding.
Yeah, I think that for me, that's actually the most important thing. I think some of the matters about access are structural, but all of us as individuals can also do quite a lot. So the reason why I'm in a larger organization is because we can make decisions that enables youngsters, for example, to have access to opportunities. If I were to mention one of the most important things that we do is to make sure that we choose 5 professions, and we make sure that after first year of education, students provide student funding, not parent funding, which means that students can have access to student loans, for example, particularly for the missing middle without surety, because I come from a family where there was no surety to be given. So I understand how important that is. So being part of Standard Bank means that then we can also find a commercially viable way, find professions, understanding that, for example, in medicine, after second year, you're probably going to make it, and therefore we can actually start to provide funding to those students. So I do think that all of us have a responsibility, and also more importantly, opportunity to think differently about opportunities.
Mm-hmm. Now, you lead quite a number of initiatives that are women-led programs, if you will, within Standard Bank. Perhaps share some of those with us and how they have shaped your own perspective about women in leadership.
Yeah, so I think that I've been the beneficiary of those myself. I joined Standard Bank 18 years ago, and the then head of retail banking was a gentleman by the name of Peter Schlebusch. And on Women's Day, in fact, 18 years ago, he stood up and said, in my executive committee, there's currently 1 woman. Give me 5 years, I'll make sure that there's 50%. And he kept to that. And the importance of that is that to the extent that there's representation in an organization, it gives other people permission to actually also see that it can be done. And more importantly, it provides opportunities for sponsorship, not mentorship, but sponsorships. People who can see that you are a unicorn, that you might look different and you might act differently, but when there's opportunities, they're able to talk to you. So what I love the most is that in the last 18 years, we've been able to get quite a significant number of women through sponsorship, but also structured programs into revenue generating roles.
Now, in this broader conversation about representation, oftentimes women lament just the almost piecemeal effort that is made or superficial effort that is made to just place women at times in positions just for quotas and not necessarily ones that would perhaps rise to the occasion at times. What do you make of just that debate alone to say that there are competent women, but you find in certain institutions that they fail to dig deep, and then you could have perhaps somebody that is not rising to the occasion and really misrepresents the capabilities of women because they decided to be very shallow about implementing this representation?
I think that Africa, South Africa, Africa throughout the continent has really powerful skills of young women. African women have always worked. They've always generated revenue. This is nothing new. I think that every organization has an opportunity to do that, to include more women. My sense around this thing is that sometimes we don't see. Sometimes we have a particular view of what leadership looks like based on our own backgrounds, etc., and we miss the opportunity. But where I'm lucky enough to work for a business where the chairman is a woman, Ms. Nkululeko Nyembezi, and I work with many other powerful women. My sense is, I think that we need to use our money and our resources to support the cause. I do say that to young women, don't work in a team where you're the only woman. Just don't do it. It's not a safe place. And I ask women out there to say, when you are going to spend your money on people who truly also see other people who look like you.
Now, building generational wealth is a big part of your own journey. I mean, it's a conversation, it's almost like a buzzword of late, and many women as well want to build that generational wealth, but sometimes you're caught in this bigger maze where everybody's just spending for now. Just a few tips on how many women can build this generational wealth and be the first perhaps in their own communities or families.
So 3 things. Firstly, money is good. I find that sometimes we as women don't want to actually talk about money. We talk about impact, we talk about serving other people, but money actually gives us an ability to do that. I think we need to have really important conversations about money. So that's the first one, and it's an internal thing. Secondly, you have to make sure that you are generating wealth and that you are not spending more than what you earn. So one of the most important things, every woman, make sure that you have a wealth manager, somebody who helps you to manage money, irrespective of how much money you earn. And then lastly, make sure that no matter what situation you're in on a personal perspective, including you, ma'am, make sure that you build your runaway fund because you never know what happens.
No, indeed. I'll start building my runaway fund. Ms. Montjane, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. That's Funeka Montjane, Standard Bank Chief Executive Officer for Personal and Business Banking.